Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, Gary here for Bizarre Brain Comics, and we're doing some military stuff today. So, even though it's not directly related to this book, I wanted to show you this. Something my wife got me. Here's a facsimile of a ship's hat that I wore, that I got from the ship that I served on 40 years ago. USS Stonewall Jackson, SSBN 634, Gold Crew. And this shirt here on the front, if you can see it through my beard, is Submariners Dolphins, and it says United States Submarine Force. Here on the back is a big set of dolphins. It says United States Submarine Force, the Silent Service. That's cool. Okay. 40 years ago, I was on this thing. Okay, now here on Bizarre Brain Comics, this is where I like to talk about some older comics, and this is really old. Talk about the art stories. Well, this is different. We'll talk a little bit about this book right here. It's old and delicate. Mail Call by Milton Caniff. This is a book that is, okay, first of all, Mail Call was a weekly comic strip, started in 1942, but it was not distributed to civilian newspapers. This was done for through the now it'd be the Department of Defense, but then it was for the War Department, to be distributed throughout the theaters of war during World War II for their local base publications. And it was originally conceived by a group within the publication parts of the military, and then they decided they wanted to get somebody who the troops already, most likely already knew and were familiar with, to do the strip. And he developed it from there. In this case, it was Milton Caniff. And okay, this strip was he said once weekly, and because of the irregular probability that the troops would not get to read it every single week, because of, hey, there's a war going on, they did it as a gag a week strip. But they had the main character is Miss Lace. They wanted a beautiful lady and thought a rather generic name's not something that someone could latch onto as being the name of someone that they knew back home. So she was just called Miss Lace, and she associated with the soldiers, with the servicemen. I think it's almost exclusively soldiers and Marines here, but it was all across services, including the Navy and Coast Guard. And since the audience was almost exclusively, was exclusively military and almost exclusively male, it was, for the time, a little bit on the risque side. And I guess, from what I understand, Milton Caniff originally wanted to call the strip Entering Miss Lace. But the powers that be put the kibosh on that because they thought it was a little too suggestive. And I think they're right there. But Mail Call, this is M-A-L-E, Call. And since she was always associating with enlisted men, enlisted soldiers. Some of the officers had complained a distinct lack of commissioned officers' presence in the strip. And she always associated with enlisted men, not with the officers, and that was to bolster the morale of the enlisted men, who were the bulk of the military, obviously. And for those who don't know, you got enlisted men are like the privates through sergeants or seamen through chief petty officers, stuff like that. And the commissioned officers are like lieutenants through the generals, or ensigns through the admirals. Just for those who don't know. And it was done by, I said, Milton Caniff. He was born in 1907, died in 1988. He was a rock star cartoonist, really. He was started out at working in art departments of newspapers, and got into the comic strips. His first comic strip he did was called Dickie Dare, and he wasn't very long on that. I don't know if it continued after he left or not. Then he created Terry and the Pirates, which was immensely successful. And he did that clear through the war while he was doing these. And Terry and the Pirates is an adventure strip set in exotic locations, primarily Asia and the South Pacific. And and then after the war, he started a new strip. I haven't found specifically why, but I think it was because he wanted control of the strip. Although he created Terry and the Pirates, the syndicate owned it. And by the time after the war, he was big enough to set demands, and he demanded ownership of Steve Canyon. And so after the war, he started the Steve Canyon strip, which ran, which in production until his death, and then thereafter for many years ran as reruns. I'll cover those some other time. And he was one of the things that of his work that appealed to the readers so much was that although it was fast-paced adventure strip, it was character-based. He had very largely fleshed out characters, which was good. And he was an excellent draftsman, using a lot of heavy blacks and inks, so much so that he was known as the Rembrandt of the comic strips. And his style was imitated by many other creators, including, if you remember, several months ago I did an episode on Johnny Hazard by Frank Robbins, and his art looked an awful lot like Milton Caniff's. And he was an excellent artist, excellent writer. Sometimes he may have used ghostwriters, I don't know. And he undoubtedly, throughout his career, had a number of assistants working with him, which is maybe where so many of the other cartoonists picked up his style. Maybe they were his assistants at one time. I don't know. Mouth getting dry. But I love this. It's funny. While I was rereading them, something rarely happens. I laughed out loud. It may not be so funny to anybody else, but when I take into account the military mindset and the time in which it was created, it's funny. Laugh out loud, honey. Okay. Let's go take a look at Mail Call by Milton Caniff. Okay, here it is, Mail Call by Milton Caniff. Okay, now this book, this book, it features 112 of the strips throughout the run, probably the first 112. I think and this book was published, this isn't a reprint book, this copy was printed in 1945 by Simon and Schuster. And unfortunately, now, and I've had it for a little over 30 years. It was a great find. I found it in a secondhand bookstore for $5. They didn't know what they had on their hands. Because even then it was like 45 years old. Almost 45 years old. And you get a sample here, brief sample here of Milton Caniff's work. Now, let's see. Yeah. Unfortunately, this has had some mildew damage on the book, which is very unfortunate. I'm not sure, and I think that's largely since I've had it, because there's been some. I need to bag it. There's been exposed to some moisture. Fortunately, did not do a lot of damage, but you can see here the inside cover and the frontispiece. Nice inset frontispiece. Now, oh yeah, that reminded me. What I wanted to tell you is that for the image of Miss Lace is basically a repurposing of the character from Terry and the Pirates comic strip of the Dragon Lady, who was actually a sometimes villain and love interest of the main hero of Terry and the Pirates, Pat Ryan. And as I go through here, sometimes the faces of some of the soldiers are the same as those that have appeared in the comic strips. I'm not sure if I see a Pat Ryan in there, but I do remember seeing someone who looked an awful lot like Terry, only slightly older. But Terry, in the strip, Terry did grow up, so time did pass. He didn't remain the same kid throughout the strip's run. And this is just beautiful, and it's glued in place as for the frontispiece. Mail call. Here's the preface, written by Milton Caniff himself. And here we have the first one's pillow fight. And you can see the artwork here. Really, really nice. Nice detail. Nice line work. Solid, dense blacks, textures, everything. It's almost photorealistic. And some beautiful, beautiful work here. And here are these soldiers here at this base, and the lady that was commonly frequented the soldiers has just left, and these soldiers here all bummed out. Well, here comes this other lady. Well, this beautiful lady. Oh, she was supposed to see a friend here. She was going to put me up. And here this is. Well, that does it. This town is so crowded. I was counting on an old chorus pal to bed me down. I'm a weary chick. And then here she is getting the MPs. Hey, shake a leg. Just made a remark to some soldiers, and they started fighting amongst themselves. Because she made a slightly suggestive comment in there. It could be taken comment. Okay, here's just this very second strip. I want to show you this because here are two MPs at night. It's because after Miss Lace has taken over that house. Two MPs at night complaining about their night duty and just talking. Boy, I sure hate this late tour. Yeah, me too. Even when the chief put you on the beat at the end of the car line back home, there was always some excitement. You was a cop before? Sure. Only had 19 years to go before I got my pension. Dames sure go for that blue suit. Yeah, if a man kept his eyes open, he could do all right. Well, nothing coming off here. Might as well move along. Yeah. Now, if you noticed while they're standing there just gabbing away, in the window silhouetted in the window behind them is our lovely lady as she undresses for the night. And they're complaining about nothing happening, and then they make the comment about nothing coming off here. And of course, if they had just looked, they'd see a naked lady right behind them, and that's funny. That is funny. Oh, there's so many good things. And Miss Lace had a tendency to call all the soldiers, general, and she was friendly to everyone. She went out on dates. You're not really sure what she was. Was she a high-class hooker at the time, or what? Or was she just there and then being friends? I think that's the way they were to give. She was just friends with all the soldiers. Oh, this one's kind of funny too, where she's being stopped because the street's been blocked off and have to show her pass. Well, she didn't want to have to do that, but there she is, and she has to hike up her skirt because her quarters are within the boundaries there, and so she has to hike up her skirt because her pass is hidden in her stocking. And then that gets all the attention of all the soldiers, and they start putting up all kinds of signs saying you have to show ID and coming through here, because they want to get a peek at her. Here's a little one here about involving some Japanese soldiers. So it's not clear exactly where this is supposed to take place, because it involves both Japanese and German soldiers. Now, I like this one here. Moral: keep your brass warm. Okay, here are these soldiers here. They're wanting to find out more about Miss Lace, and so they get the youngest most baby-faced guy to go over and inquire of her, because she wouldn't feel quite so intimidated by all these big bruisers. And so he approaches her, and look how she's dressed. Very, very sexy. A very extremely plunging neckline there. A lot of bosom showing. And he's just flummoxed. And then they can't see. And they went to go check him out, and he's gone. Like Desoida went over to the enemy while on reconnaissance patrol. Oh, that's funny, because he sent him on a recon mission. Then later, he comes back with something in his hand here. He comes back to their barracks, and they're asking about it. She said her friends just call her Lace. She didn't tell me any more, so I left. Okay, McGulty, we'll let you live. And then he goes up to by his bunk, hangs a poster of Miss Lace behind him, and it says, "To General McGulty." Of course, he's just a private. "Oh, Mac, those cold buttons, thine Lace." And of course, there she is in a picture of her in her extremely plunging, extremely seductive outfit there, and there's the brass buttons, because the cold brass buttons would be against her bare flesh as she's kissing him. That's funny too. All this stuff was for the benefit of the soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines. I like this one too. Here's one about they're going to shoot some dice, doing some gambling, and they invite Miss Lace. So when she goes out, she's got her got a pillow down for her knees while she's in her sexy dress, and everybody, while she's just cleaning up, playing the dice, and they're playing for cigarettes. But she's sitting there, leaning over, in that plunging neckline, just exposing everything, and the boys don't mind them losing at all, because they get the best view in the house. Oh, just some other really, really nice things, funny things. Here's Miss Lace is taking some of the boys to had a picnic with them, and as they're getting up to leave, and her dress catches on a tree and rips, so her backside is exposed. So she yells at everybody, "Okay, eyes front, and you guys are going to be the main body. It needs protection. So you jokers are going to be my advance guard. Now forward, eyes front." And then, "Hey, where's McGulty?" Says, "Front of the rear guard." And there you can see her lacy undies. There's some other things. variety of things. Remember, this was once a week, so there was very little continuation. Oh, she's being chased by by the Jeep. She's always just hanging around with the guys, just being beautiful, cheering all the boys up. Oh, what are some of the others? This one guy guard overhearing some stuff, and sounds like they're selling. Someone is selling government property and military secrets, and gets the guards, and they come in and they're selling up pinup girls, pictures of pinups. All kinds of. Oh, this one's a funny one, where they're having a little party, and she's the only lady there, and they're having a little party and dancing and stuff. And so they come up with an idea. Okay, it's time to quit, but you need somebody to escort you back. So we're going to escort you to your house safely. So we're going to have a little contest here to see who it is who gets to do it. We're going to shut off the lights, and we're going to each take turns dancing with you, and then whoever's dancing with you, when the lights come back on, gets to escort you home. So, okay, but first she wants to talk to the supply sergeant, and then she comes back in with a Mae West life jacket around her to protect her ample bosom from groping hands in the dark. Now that's funny. And here's another good one. She's getting a tour of the base. They're going through the control tower, and they talk about here's the radio, and all the aircraft that are in there are on the frequency, so we can tell them where to go and what to do and all this, just general control tower stuff. It says, "Oh, that's wonderful. I wonder what would happen if those generals heard my voice coming over this thing." And then we see the control tower is being buzzed by a bazillion airplanes just to get a peek at Miss Lace. Some others. Here's one. She got a letter from some boys and says, "Since you're the only glamour girl most of us guys ever see, we'd appreciate it if you'd show up in real pinup outfits, like the movie stills." And she's reading the letter, said, well, that's a toughie. And here she is, very scantily clad, and then in another scantily clad outfit, and then here she is in the last two, just very sexy pinup type pictures. And it says, "Dear Dan, I guess we're just sick with. I guess you're stuck with me the way I am, not pinned up. Approximately yours, Lace." And of course, that she did just that. All these wonderful outfits. Oh, and here's another great one, real great one. Thanksgiving. She's had all these soldiers over for Thanksgiving dinner. She's roasted a turkey. And she said, "Can any of you soldiers carve?" "No, ma'am." One guy says, "Oh, I can carve." And his buddy smacks him one. And then she says, "What's the matter with your friend?" "Just lack of foresight, because if she's carving, she has to bend over and expose her ample bosom to them all." And they love that. And the whole thing is just, like I said, it's a bit on the risque side for the time, but you also it was good for cheering up the soldiers. Some beautiful, beautiful artwork, some great gags. Here's one about a soldier in lines of communication. He's got this bundle like it's special orders or something. He's guarding it with his life as he's taking it to the front lines areas. Finally, getting on to the front lines, to the where the soldiers are dug in the trenches, and then it's not special orders. It's a poster of Miss Lace for all the soldiers on the front lines. That's great. Oh, that's great. And it's 112. This book is 112. Oh, here's another great one. It's not Miss Lace herself. It's just some beautiful girly pictures. Beautiful girly pictures. And you can see why Caniff was considered and this is the receipt from when I bought the book. You can see why he was considered the the Rembrandt of the comic strip. Has a great dressman, great immense detail. He tried to be as accurate as possible in the uniforms. He said in the introduction that sometimes he got some of the details wrong. The boys in the trenches noticed and commented, and he said for this reproduction they decided to not correct those mistakes. Here we have another one. her silhouette in the window as she undresses, and they decided not to make the correction so it would appear just as it appeared to the soldiers and sailors and airmen and Marines when it was first published. Some beautiful work, great, and as Milton Caniff said, this was the first publication of these strips for a civilian audience. So this was I'm sure it's been reprinted other places, other times, several times over the decades. I've just never seen them. And I was so lucky to find this, and so cheaply too. It's just a wonderful, wonderful little book. It's a great introduction to Milton Caniff's work. I just love it. And I think it was a great contributor to the overall morale of our troops overseas and at home during the war. And a great big posthumous thank you to Milton Caniff. Did some great work. And so that's all I've got. Hope you enjoyed it. I just love this book. And I love Milton Caniff's work. And I hope if you're unfamiliar with him, that you delve into his work, if not just here, his comic strips, and it's great stuff. So please like, share, and subscribe. Share with military buddies, your comic book friends, anyone interested in this kind of stuff. It's just a great introduction, and thank you so much. And remember, comics are art.